We're here to cause a riot. To reimagine Sligo town, the regional centre of the northwest of Ireland. And show the River Garavogue as a lively public space that can reimagine Sligo for the 22,000 people who live here and the thousands more who visit every year. We'll take a journey along the River Garavogue, from Yeats's Lake Isle of Innisfree and Lough Gill to the freedom of the Atlantic Ocean. And on the 5 bridges, which are part of the town's heritage, 5 performers who have reimagined their own lives will entertain us and share their ideas on how the river can energise Sligo. The John Fallon footbridge on the edge of town incorporates a 19th century distillery mill race, but it's a perfect 21st century public performance space. These are the No Crows, folk orchestra. They reimagine music as a fusion of Catalan, Swiss, Irish, Russian, and probably a bit of Sligo divilment thrown in. They regularly tour in Europe, but their hearts are in Sligo.
For me, Sligo is a unique place in terms of the culture. In terms of the music business, it's just, the music scene in Sligo is like no other I know. And I've been all over Europe. We've done a lot of touring with No Crows, and there is nowhere like it. I mean, in terms of the size of the town, the density of the culture here is just astonishing.
So much happening in the arts, visual arts and music and everything. So I just love it.
I do remember in years gone by, we had a Sligo Arts Festival, and there were lovely firework displays and sort of pageants along the river. And I think there's certainly a lot of possibilities for that to happen again, not just along the river, but I think on the river as well.
I remember a few years ago in Switzerland, actually, there's the town where I'm from, there's a river going through it, and they had a musician, double bass player, on a ferry boat in the middle of the river doing his gig at night, and the people were on either bank of the river, and it was just fantastic. The atmosphere it created, people had like torches or little lights, candles, whatever, so it creates a whole different atmosphere.
Sligo is it's a small town. We've got the shortest river in Ireland, and I think it's everything that centres around it really. So the river is always going to be part of what happens here.
On towards the solid granite of Markievicz Bridge. Almost 400 years old, it offers performance space all round it, with a great view of the river and the town.
And I'll never forget it, coming into Sligo Bay at the end of my last voyage. There'd been a bitch of a west wind, but she left us alone since the Stags.
Actor Bob Kelly has worked and performed around the world, but it's the living landscape of Sligo which continues to inspire his work, in theatre and film, writing and directing.
Coming in on a clean spring day under easy canvas, Knocknare's your sailing mark, the lowland of the coast and the Blue Mountain Range beyond. The harbour was bare of shipping, only a few fishing skiffs putting out in long sweeps. And we hove to at Rockley, because no ship can enter Sligo till Sligo's ready, and we had 20 foot of drought to get across the bar. What Sligo has going for it in spades is the landscape, the scenery. The fact that we're a little bit out on the edge of the world here, we're sort of at the boundary. There's a sense sometimes that you can feel a little bit between worlds out here in Sligo. I think that's why it attracts so many artists out here. So you put out the signal for a local pilot. A man alive but didn't have the population of the county come sweeping out of the creeks and headlands in their Mayo skiffs, all willing hands at the braces, all looking for a chance at the cargo. But the only man in the whole of Sligo that was Trinity licensed for our class of a boat was old Andy. Oh, he says, sure, you can't be bringing 20 foot of barkie into Sligo port, that can't be done. So we had to lie in at Ross's Point to lighten the load. There's lots of potential, I think, for stuff that actually happens on the water, or arts activities that could be directly connected to the river. I think there are an awful lot of people that use the river for practical purposes, and anything could grow out of that. I know that every year the fishermen go in and they clean the river, and they just do that off their own bat. Nobody asks them to do it, but it's out of civic responsibility. Why not turn that into a small festival? Provide food, provide music, get people involved, make it an annual event, and who knows what that could grow into. That's something that would always be directly connected to the river, would grow from it, and is also connected to the practical purposes of how we use the river and how we maintain it and how we treat it. Now look out on that water and think about hundreds of years and all them ships coming in, all them tired crews all singing the same song. If I ever do die, that's where I go. I go back out on that water and looking back in across the glassy swell of the bay to Sligo. That's if I die. No plans made yet.
Now we reach the new Cultural Plaza, a built open-air performance space, which when completed can be central to cultural life along the river. It's connected to the town by the Bridge of Light footbridge. And we talk to a man who knows this river since childhood, Michael Quirk. A butcher by trade, he threw it all in to reimagine his life, carving stories in wood and sharing the poetry, myths and legends of Sligo and Ireland, and currently at home shielding from COVID.
This is a very basic story. This is young Freoch comes courting Finiver and by the lake, Lough Gill, and he tells her she's so beautiful and so on, and she tells him prove it, and she has him swim out to Freoch that took his name, and bring her the 9 nuts of wisdom. Sligo is special because of the way it's enclosed by Benbulben, Knocknarea, the Ox Mountains, and then closer and closer you come in, and then you have the river and Carramore, and the whole area is, in a good sense, claustrophobic, and it kind of focuses you. Back and forth he swims on the 9, and then when he brings her the 9th wood, she says, "Hatu mai hin sanishke, mugroga dangan tu." I put a bit of that on the back now. That's the old mugroga dangan tu. My love so strong for you, you see. I give you my steadfast love. The river is an Garavog, the harsh, sinister one. It's a woman, and it's full of creativity. It's absolutely, it just churns with creativity. Even when it's low, it's a dark, still river, and then as it gets fuller with the rain, it churns up. There's a lot that could be done, and then of course you could have poetry nights and singing and dancing and the whole thing, whatever you want, and there'd be no way that you'd overdo it. You couldn't overdo it.
The Hyde Bridge is at the centre of Sligo and is a crucial artery in the life of the town. Reimagined from the time of Empire to the New Republic, a crossing point for 800 years, and now connecting to the popular walkways by the river. And here, from historian and tour guide Adrian O'Neill, who is reimagining Sligo through his very popular online community, Sligo Heritage and History Club, sharing photos, letters, and telling stories about Sligo's history, just as he does on the streets for visitors.
There's always been a bridge here, right back as far back as the 13th, 14th century, where the first bridges were recorded. The bridge first opened in 1845, and at that time it was named after the Queen Victoria. And 100 years later, it was renamed Hyde Bridge after our first president, Douglas Hyde.
And for those visitors, Adrian opens a window onto a past world, even if only to find that not much changes.
The medieval bridge at the time would have even had buildings on it, on both ends. So a lot of that had to be made clear of to make way for this bridge behind us. And the reason they got rid of the older bridge was it was so narrow that the vehicles at the time, like the mail coaches of its time, large bulky vehicles couldn't cross this old medieval bridge.
Adrian believes the Garavogue is a vibrant, busy space that people already appreciate, and that it has so much more to offer.
Even when you're walking down, let's say, down Rockwood Parade, you're seeing the trees, you're seeing across, there's an open space everywhere. And the further you go down the river, even down towards Riverside, I see people all the time stopping, looking at the river, taking everything in. And then you've got the swans and everything like that, you know, it's kind of a magical place. The Garavogue is a perfect place for music, for theatre and for storytelling. And it's such a large area, a large open space up and down the river for these kind of things to take place. I know for myself, for speaking, we organised a storytelling night one time and it was massive. We ran out of space for bringing people in a tiny little cafe. We can only imagine like having it outside and the people that it would bring in.
Journey's End, the Hughes Bridge. Even as the Garavogue sweeps out to the estuary and on to the Great Atlantic Ocean, there are unexpected performance spaces. Meet Mabel Cha, singer, entrepreneur, chef. Since coming to live in Sligo, she has fused her Cameroonian heritage with a whole range of new cultures.
Is there a place? Is there a time? Is there a way? Let me show you that I love you. The inspiration that I've gotten from when I got to Sligo and what I am today has just been amazing because it opened me up. I happened to have met everyone and sat around different tables, art, music, film, dance, and I just kept soaking everything in, picked up a pen, wrote a couple of songs, was in a couple of plays, and all the time it's just all these influences. Had I the heavens embroidered cloth and bronze with golden and silver line, the blue and the dim and dark clouds of night and light on the half light. I will spread the clouds under your feet, but I being poor have only my dreams. I'll spread my dreams under your feet. Tread stuff because you tread on my dreams. What is it that runs through our town? It's the Garavogue River. Imagine performances on the bridges. Maybe in one afternoon, all the bridges have a different performance. Hey, I love you. I love you, yeah. If I were on a boat on a river in a beautiful summer day, I would wear some I wanted to say I would do like a Brazilian carnival dance with all the shiny costumes and big feathers and just perform along the river doing a song, and it has to be a lively, big song.
At our journey's end, the talent and sheer joy of Sligo's cultural life shows the kind of energy and ideas that together can reimagine Sligo, all along the banks of this ancient and ever-flowing river.
Sligo should be marketed as the New Orleans of Ireland because it is an extraordinary place. It's like a magnet for artists and musicians.
Buskers will come, jugglers will come, people will start to feel that this is a creative place where they can encounter people.
It's where everybody wants to be. It's going to be a focal point for music drama and arts.
And before you know it, you're dancing. When you left your home, you probably did not know you were going to be dancing. But me on a boat, on the river, on the gravel, you will dance. I promise.
Part of the taking, always breaking, too much to feel. And now she takes your love, and as a stealer, steal, yeah. Left town for city.